So now we're going to link all of what we've talked about, mental models, sense making, confirmation bias, self-fulfilling prophecy, to another psychological concept. And this concept is known as framing. So the simplest way to think about framing is think about a picture frame, right? So think of it's like a big lens, the big context in which we process information and incidences and exchanges and interactions that happen. So it's like a larger version of a mental model. Frame is a mental model, absolutely, but it has specific applications. So let me give you an example, and it will probably become clearer. Let me give you an example of a study actually, which brings about the influence of framing quite powerfully. So this was a study that was done using the prisoner's dilemma game. There are several versions of it, but there's one version that has been explicitly designed to test the level of cooperativeness or competitiveness that people exhibit while playing the game. So now this version of the game was used in two different groups of students, right? So in the same game, it was exactly the rules of the game, what they had to do, everything was exactly the same in the two cases, except in one case it was framed as a business dilemma. Yeah? In another case, this game was framed as a social dilemma. What do you think? What were the findings? And everything else was same, similar kinds of students, randomly assigned, similar duration, all of that. But when people played the business dilemma, the same game titled a business dilemma, they exhibited a greater degree of competitiveness than the students exhibited when they were playing the social dilemma game. That is the influence of framing. Yeah, true, competitiveness, the tendency to be cooperative or tendency to be competitive, there are individual differences, these are traits, but for the same person there's a variation. Where if I believe that I'm in a business situation, because I believe somewhere in the back of my mind there's an association, so the frames are also driven by this association that business, it's okay to be competitive when you're in business, so we have all these images that I picked up through movies and experiences and all of that. It brings out a more competitive behavior from my side. And the same game with the same rules and the same kind of nuances, and I'm playing a social game because I have associations in my mind that when you're trying to do something for the society, for the community, for charity, it's nice to be nice and cooperative and friendly. It actually brings out the cooperative nature. Now, that's the effect of framing, just that word, business dilemma versus social dilemma. The details of the game are same. Why does this matter? This matters because you saw the difference in influence. Now let's take the same frame and use it in the context of work, right? So there are different ways in which we can frame our work. And would the way in which we frame our work actually make a difference in the way we experience our work? Absolutely. Let me give you another example, right? So, and these differences are tangible differences. Some of these are physical. So here's another experiment done by Alan Crum and Elaine Blanger, and this was done on hotel maids. So it's a very fascinating study, and they conducted it in 7 different hotels. So they roped in a whole lot of hotel staff who have to do the cleaning, right? Vacuum cleaning of all carpets and rooms, and they're pretty much doing this for a large chunk of their day. Now, to half of these maids, they actually, got them together in a room and they briefed them on how the work that they did was very similar to a cardio activity, and it was actually very good for their health and stuff like that. The control group, and the other half of maids were given no such instructions, and they were just given neutral instructions, do your work and stuff like that. After some time, the maids were interviewed and their results were seen and their weight loss was seen. What they observed was the group of maids who were actually consciously reminded of the fact that the activity they do is like a cardio workout. This group had actually lost weight, and this group had also dropped their cholesterol levels, right? Benefits that we get from exercise. And as compared to the control group where, this was more significant than that. So what does this suggest? This suggests that doing the same thing, they're doing the same thing physically, but when the brain construes of it as exercise, it produces a different effect. We see this a lot in placebo effect, right? Placebo effect is when you give a sugar pill or something and tell the patient that this is going to help you, and it really does. And placebo effect is actually being tested over and over and over again, and we're not going to get into the details of that, but there's brilliant evidence related to that, and you should look it up. So again, influence on how the beliefs about what is going to occur actually lands up occurring at a physical level. Now let's take this framing of work again, and I'm going to tell you a short story about how the way we frame our work can influence the way we engage with our work, right? So, and you can guess this even from the hotel maids experiment, right? What do you think would have been the enthusiasm level of those who were vacuuming, thinking that, hey, this is exercise, I'm going to benefit from this? How are they going to be feeling about it? Versus someone who's doing, I just need to do this because I get my paycheck, yeah? That's a difference. Okay, let me tell you a story. It's quite a favorite story of mine, and some of you may have heard it again, but let's listen to it because it's very powerful to bring out the effects of framing of work. So there was a man who was walking around in a construction site, and he came across a bricklayer who was working, and he asked him, "Hello, sir, what are you doing? What are you doing?" So this bricklayer was like, "Oh my God, please don't disturb me. Can't you see I'm busy? I'm just laying bricks. Why are you wasting my time? I need to do this and go home, and I lay bricks and I get paid for it, and don't disturb me. That's it." I mean, what a stupid question. Obviously, I'm laying bricks. This man walks along a little further, finds another bricklayer, and asks him, "Hello, sir. Good morning. What are you doing?" This person says, "Oh, you see, I'm actually laying bricks, and if you see this row, this is the row that I did yesterday, and I'm trying to, do better than that today, and it's quite a interesting task. I need to make them all level so that we can put the next layer, and so I need to measure it." And he sort of talked to him through the nuances of that, and he said, "Well, I'm trying to beat my own speed at that." He was quite engaged with that, and he explained a little. Man listened to him, understood, and said, "Okay, thank you, good luck." He walked ahead, went a little further, found a third bricklayer. He asked, "Hello, sir, good morning, what are you doing?" So this person looked up to him and said, "I'm building a temple." Yeah, that's it. He's building a temple. With every brick that he was laying, he's building a temple. So, different ways of framing the same work. What do you think the enthusiasm and motivation and engagement level would have been of the person who was building a temple? And they're all truths, right? With every brick that he laid, all of them were saying truth. It's all truth. No one's making believe. They were building a temple, right? But they were also laying bricks. They were also making it as even as possible. And these are all parts of the truth. They're all parts of the truth. It's which part of the truth do you see, and which part of the truth do you accept, and which part of the truth do you bring into your mental model, because that then is going to drive your engagement with the work that you do. There are some similar interview responses when people, janitors. There was a janitor in NASA who was working in NASA who, when he was interviewed about what he does, he actually said something like, "I help put people on the moon," and something like that. Space. I don't remember the exact words. He was so aware that if he did not clean the bathrooms and he did not clean the corridors, the organization could not put people on the moon. It was linked to the purpose. It's the frame. It's how do you frame the work that you do. Does it matter? Absolutely. How do you think the person who was I'm just laying bricks to get my money, right, was feeling about his work? What was his enthusiasm level, motivation level, conviction to continue, all of that, right? You can just bring in all the OB variables and check them, and you'll see that the single thing called framing, how do you frame your work, can make a huge difference. I see the difference when I say, so I'm a professor and I go into class, right? So how do I frame my work? When I frame my work as play, class is fun, students enjoy themselves, I enjoy myself, and we learn better, we learn much better, right? If I frame my work as, I don't know, disseminating information, that's a totally different thing. I could frame my work as nurturing minds, that's a different thing. Yeah, so we have these choices, we have infinite possibilities of frames, definitions, and labels to choose from. We have good role models, we have bad role models, we have our own good experiences, we have our own bad experiences. It's like such a colorful platter of labels. Can we play with these labels a little? Yes. Can we craft them? Yes. What does it require? It requires just two things. It requires a little bit of conscious intervention on our own parts to craft the workings of our inner minds, the models, the labels, the frames through which we view the world, we view ourselves, we engage in our activities.